under the sun. We're directly under the Earth's sun now. My name's Brian Engelman.
I'm Blake Walley.
And this is the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. Today is Thursday, July the 6th, 2023. And we are going to leave up this flag. Blake, you had a suggestion. What is this in regard to? You said, obviously, we're 2 days past our birthday, Independence Day. Don't call it 4th of July. Call it Independence Day to remind people what the point is. But what is the point of the flag today?
This is Pride Month, American Pride Month.
So that's a thing now, right?
I think it was Benny Johnson. He put something out, like he put the American flag instead of the rainbow flag. And he said, now it's like the real Pride Month. And I don't, I'm not dissing the other one, but I take more pride in the country. And I think we all should. We should understand our values, how we got here, and try to preserve the good, but always keep trying to improve ourselves.
Well, we've been browbeaten by the Marxists, by the lying legacy media, and by academia. The whole educational system has just been teaching you to hate this country and to hate yourself for 30, 40 years now. They have seized control, and they've cranked out a generation of weirdos, people that are self-deprecating, self-loathing. You see it every time Biden talks. I know Biden has Obama's hand so far up his backside calling the shots. It's not even Biden saying it, but you know what I mean. Our educational system, just the people that have, I hate this country and smallpox and this and that and race and racism. It's like, yeah, we fought a bloody civil war to stop that. I'm pretty sure. Fought a revolutionary war to get people out of our hair so that we could just kind of live and let live. This has been a progression to like some pretty awesome stuff. Name me some better countries on earth, theoretically, but we do have some psychopaths that are trying their best to ruin things. But I really think it all starts and stops with the educational system. I had a lot of anti-American teachers, a lot of anti-American people that were really just, they got off on just the power that they had to give you your grade. And they knew that if you didn't kind of parrot their BS, that, they used it. They wielded that as a tool to browbeat us, to manipulate us, to warp our brains and brainwash us to hate our own country. And, who's behind all this? I mean, of course, places like China and other countries that hate freedom and liberty and free speech, of course, they're putting up the Marxists on the Democrat Party that really want to lock down the people of this nation. But hey, we are resisting because we know better. We know where we came from. And that's why the New American Media exists, because the old American media is trash. All right, Blake. So we're going to jump into the news here. But first, tell people where to find you, by the way, in all of the places.
Well, TV's Blake Walley on Twitter would be the best place. That's my favorite social media platform by far. And of course, my archive at thenextlevelnews.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do that. And then follow the New American Media in all of the places, especially the New American Media on YouTube and Rumble. We need more subscribers on Rumble, so please jump over there now. And as well as Spotify. We need people to sign up for the podcast, because that's a new platform that we just never did podcasts. I don't know, how weird. But here we are now. Join us in all of the places. Let's jump to the number one story today, sir.
All right.
There is so much going on in the world today, but this one's a very interesting story, Blake. Agree or disagree that the missing Biden witness, that's a weird 3 words in a row. Missing Biden witness. It's kind of like a slant rhyme, double slant rhyme divided by 3. Missing Biden witness was arrested to stop him from testifying. Would you agree or disagree, Blake?
Yeah, I wrote that out without pronunciating it before. So yeah, this is a little tricky. But
I know you type it out and then I have to speak it. And it's I definitely I fall into the pitfalls a couple of times. I fall into the booby traps.
Yes, to my inventive wordplay, except not really. But
to my
anyway,
sugar.
Real snafu. Well, driven the breaking news here out of the New York Post. So there is a bombshell story about this very thing, and it looks like this is very plausible. So there was something, this mysterious case of a missing witness that was going to testify against the Biden family corruption. We didn't know anything about it. We just assumed the worst. But I guess this person has resurfaced, and it's a Israeli professor, actually a well-known, respected guy. So let me pull up this story. This is the breaking big news story of the day. Brian, you tagged me on it earlier. I guess Charlie Kirk had tweeted this out. So here it is, out of the New York Post, the same publication that brought out the Hunter Biden laptop. And then was censored and punished for it. Missing Biden corruption case witness, Dr., and I don't know how to pronounce it, Gal Luft, details allegations against president's family in this extraordinary video. And we're not going to listen to 14 minutes of it, but just to give you a quick hit.
Good day.
Can we hear this?
My name is Dr. Gal Luft. For the past 20 years, I've been the co-director of the Institute for the Analysis of Global Security, a Washington-based think tank focused on energy security.
Boring.
Okay, exactly. What? It's bombshell information. So this guy looks like he's on the run. The missing witness. Here he is.
I'm kind of kidding, Blake. But certain people, when they have a very slow drawl to them, it's like, bloody get to the point, would you? It's like, you're only giving him 20 seconds. He's running for his life. He's probably got the biggest hit out on him for anybody not named Putin or Zelensky right now. Like, he's probably target number one. So yeah, how dare us ask him to speed it up, pal. Anyway, I don't.
Right, and I have no way to accelerate this. And of course, the man is also speaking in a second language. So
true, yeah.
But we got to take the information seriously, regardless, without getting all the super highlight clips here. So in the 14-minute recording obtained exclusively by the Post, the fugitive former Israeli army officer claims he was arrested in Cyprus to stop him from testifying to the House Oversight Committee that the Biden family received payments from individuals with alleged ties to Chinese military intelligence, and that they had an FBI mole who shared classified information with their benefactors from the China-controlled energy company CEFC. So this is an extraordinary. He made this video in an undisclosed location while he's on the run.
What's behind him? He has a picture hanging on the wall, right? You're never supposed to do that. That can give you away. What's hanging behind him?
That could be like, right.
You better tear that down, Eric.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it could be like, maybe it's like a hotel chain, just some generic thing.
But somebody out there, some low-level staffer. All right, I want you to look up I want you to call all the hotel brands and find out who's using that. I mean, like, it happens that fast. He should know better if he's on the run. But anyway, I digress. Just a finer point.
They could dox him for that, perhaps. Perhaps they got some lackey in Langley. How you like that? There's some wordplay.
Lackey.
Yep. Yeah. Trying to study that very same point. Try to figure that out. Solve that mystery. So
the story is that he was arrested, or that he was arrested, then they let him out. Now he's on the run. Am I understanding this right?
Well, he says it says the self-proclaimed fall guy. It says he provided the incriminating evidence to 6 officials from the FBI and Department of Justice in a secret meeting in Brussels in March 2019, but alleges that it was covered up. So he says, I, who volunteered to inform the U.S. government about a potential security breach and about compromising information about a man vying to be the next president, am now being hunted by the very same people who I informed and may have to live on the run for the rest of my life. So he says he's not a Republican, not a Democrat, no political motive, or agenda. He did it out of deep concern. The Bidens came to power, the country would be facing the same traumatic Russian collusion scandal, only this time with China. But sadly, because of the Department of Justice and their cover-up, this is exactly what happened.
And only this time, it's an accurate story.
Right. Well, there's probably a lot of missing witnesses that have, done whistleblower stuff against the government or corruption, like we've mentioned, JFK assassination, and we're going to be talking about that in the show as well. Interesting new development there. But it's kind of the similar, like, hey, there's witnesses that said, yeah, I swear there was a second shooter, or there was, other gunfire I heard on the grassy knoll or what have you. And a lot of those witnesses disappeared. You try to do the right thing. You trust the government. And then they've got some corrupt element who are trying to things up.
You can never. Who in the world can you trust? Obviously not the people that you would want to go to. So who do you trust? Like I don't know, like an Engelman or a Walley or a Veritas or
no, Veritas. Yes, I do not want any information. I'm not that investigative style journalist. I don't want to know secret information. I don't want to protect sources. I am a gonzo journalist. I am just going to analyze the news and report it. But yes, we'll draw the line on that. I'll let the real journalists handle that kind of stuff. But yes, this is some damning information for sure. If this is true, and this man looks credible, and he tried to do the right thing, and it was covered up, and then they tried to arrest him. Imagine the magnitude of something like that. So he's trying to prevent this from going down, and it was well before 2020 election ever happened. This should have derailed the entire process.
That should have been derailed 100 times from Sunday. That entire Biden candidacy should have been derailed 100 times. It was protected at every turn by the traitors that pretend to work. Hey, we work at an alphabet agency, so therefore what we do is right. No. You're supposed to be an umpire calling balls and strikes. You're not supposed to be tilting the scales of justice by pressing your finger down on and changing the outcomes of this stuff. And it's like, oh, you fool, that's the entire reason why Central Intelligence Agency exists. It's like, yeah, I know. But when they turn into another arm of the Democrat Party, when the Democrat Party has lost their marbles with their hardcore Marxism, anti-Americanism, their destruction, their punitive policies, their reckless ideas, and their censorship, it's just everything about them is anti-American. So if the intelligence agencies, well, what did they say in Tropic Thunder? Never go full intelligence, never go full alphabet agency, right? They've
never go redacted.
Never go redacted. There we go.
Never go full redacted.
Never go full redacted. All right. Well, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, they've all gone full Democrat. Same difference, redacted. Same difference, Marxist. Same difference, socialist. They're completely out of control. This is Tim Donaghy. Do you remember Tim Donaghy? He was the
basketball referee.
There you go. You got good memory there. I was asking Kenneth. Jeez, Blake, you had to go and ruin this. Hi, Kenneth. Hi, Jekyll. Hi, Oski. Is your name Oski? What up, Oski?
Oski, yes.
I one of my neighbors growing up was some Oski. But anyway, what was I saying? I went off track. I don't know. You get my point. This is a punitive sledgehammer wing of the Democrat Party, and it has to be cast to the corners of the earth. It has to be smashed to a million pieces. It is, and it's like they're trying to arrest this guy because he came forward with completely accurate information. What did they try to do to President Trump? They tried to impeach him. They did impeach him because they said, we're going to need you to look into all this Biden corruption because it's pretty blatant and we all see it. Oh, you want us to look into it? Well, then you're checks notes. You're a Russian. I don't know. You're a bot. No, you're a traitor. No, you're a Russian Russian collusion. Huh? And then they go to war with Russia. It's like, you guys are so damn stupid. I don't know. You couldn't pitch this stuff in Hollywood. It's so ridiculous. I don't know who they think is buying this. I don't think anybody is. I'm sure people are. But maybe that's my confirmation bias. We're too tuned in to the obvious, accurate, factual information, and we don't consume all the brainwashing crap anymore. Are we immune to this? Blake, did we develop superpowers?
Perhaps we have a healthy skepticism, but why don't we just make it easy? As this man is saying, this Israeli professor, why don't we just make the evidence public? Well, that's another thing that the government does not like sometimes is transparency, like the JFK assassination, or if they're trying to cover up for this president. So now he's challenging the government to release the minutes of the Brussels meeting and make public the evidence against him. Why did the DOJ choose to unseal the indictment on November 1st, 2022, the very same week of the midterm elections? Could this have anything to do with the fear that once Republicans gain control over Congress and begin to investigate, that the cover-up would be on full display? So Luff says he told the DOJ and the FBI in Brussels that Joe Biden, soon after his VP term ended, had ended a meeting at the Four Seasons Hotel in D.C. with his son Hunter and officials from this Chinese energy firm. And the account of the former VP's presence at that meeting was corroborated months later when the FBI interviewed another attendee, and they disclosed during the interview that CEFC was paying $100,000 a month to Hunter and $65,000 to his uncle Jim Biden. And that was in exchange for their FBI connections and use of the Biden name to promote China's Belt and Road Initiative around the world, and that the money was being funneled through Walker. I mean, if this is anything true to this, they should have just quietly let Joe Biden drop out of the race. They should have said, hey, there's just way too much, loose baggage on this guy. He's way too compromised. There's no way he should be the president of the United States. There's 17 Democrat challengers in the field. You can pick somebody better. Joe had no pulse until South Carolina, which was the third. He lost Iowa bad, lost New Hampshire bad. And so now they've changed the rules this year where the DNC is going to start now with South Carolina, where he did well. That's where he kind of turned his whole election chances around back in 2020.
He turned his election chances, or he was polling toward the bottom. He was
he was terrible. He was like left for dead, and all of a sudden South Carolina, all of a sudden he wins.
Well, it wasn't about South Carolina as much as it was they cut their backroom deals, and all of them jumped on board the Biden train. They all dropped out and endorsed him at the same exact time. That wasn't that South Carolina pushed him over top. It was that they cut their dirty backroom deals, just like Zelensky and just like Ukraine, just like Burisma. Just go down the laundry list here. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, Joe Biden was almost as unpopular as Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris is you couldn't design a character for a TV show that would be as no, you know what? Who was that girl on Friends that had the annoying laugh?
Oh, it's Phoebe, right?
It wasn't Phoebe. It was the girlfriend of. She's like,
Janice.
Janice.
Bing, yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yes. So I mean, that's who Kamala is, and Biden was almost as unpopular as her. So I mean, this is a complete. I don't know. This is a sock puppet human. This is a sock puppet presidency. It's the most blatant middle finger, thumb in your nose, thumb in your eye, finger in your eye. What am I trying to say? Thumb up is, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like
thumb in our eye, the most American people,
middle finger to the American people ever.
Right.
They're not even pretending that this is the will of the people. They're not even pretending like 81 million votes is like, this is absurd on every level. And the alphabet agencies are just losing all of their trust, their credibility. They are just acting as if they were enemies to this country, not compatriots, not patriots, just adversaries. This is a clown show that they keep putting up there to try to keep telling us that this is normal, that everything is fine. What's that meme? This is fine, and everything's on fire by that cartoon character.
Right.
Yeah. This is fine. This is fine, Blake.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not fine. And now we've got the highest levels of the government engaged in a massive cover-up to protect the first family and all of the corruption. So they're all tied together in bed. It's really disgusting. And I don't know how they come out of it, because they themselves are going to get in trouble, and they are going to have to be held accountable by the American people to wonder why they are covering this up. This is somebody who is compromised, can't be trusted. They're using him as a puppet, but they've this is going too far, and it's going to backfire, and it's going to destroy the country.
Well, Blake, speaking of cover up, I got a story to jump to. Did you have anything you wanted to add on this before we bounce?
No, this is the breaking, beautiful, big story of the New York Post again. Another bombshell. Good work.
Beautiful breaking.
Yeah.
Big, beautiful breaking bombshell, says Blake.
Yes.
Ballyhoo's, Blake? Could you ballyhoo something? Bursts, Blake? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what ballyhoo means.
Bellows.
I like that. All right.
That's the one. Okay. Speaking of cover-ups, let's get to this next story.
All right.
Blake, you and I were not alive when this happened, but I have always held a certain affinity. I've held a certain, there's that quote that says, activism is the rent that we pay to live on Earth. And I've just always felt compelled to push forward and figure out and expose the JFK assassination, to just blow the brains out of the president of the United States on live television. Was it live television, right? We were watching it?
No, that was the Zapruder film that came out later. It was not televised. Definitely not televised, because they would have had.
So I wanted to clarify.
As I said, that, control that. Right. I don't think. Yeah, that was that prevalent at that time, and certainly not on that day, especially if they knew what was going to be happening.
I mean, if you're trying to send a message, I guess to our generation, we've seen it a million times, so it just feels like it was watched live, because everything that happens live today is covered by somebody somewhere, especially on the internet. Somebody's streaming that stuff.
Well, imagine how many cell phones now. You can't get away with something like that.
Yeah, the millions of Zapruder films. Could you imagine? But yeah, so tell us what's going on here, Blake. Do you agree or disagree with the JFK assassination documents? They are too horrible and they should stay hidden.
Well, I am, of course, going to disagree on that. I don't care how horrible they are. That was a long time ago, almost 60 years. It'll be in November, the 60th year anniversary. So it's way past time. We've been trying to push for this for a long time. But, there's probably people affiliated with that they're trying to cover up. Oh, Dr. Jekyll saying LBJ did it. Well, he probably knew about it and was happy to, not necessarily happy to go along with it, but that made him president. It's kind of like, well, JFK is not going to go into to Vietnam, but if would LBJ be willing to? Would he be willing to play along and take out his boss in order to take the reins of power and go along with it? But he also knows he's probably going to be killed too if the CIA, in fact, did it and was trying to arrange this stuff. So it's kind of like, do you want to play ball and go along with this and get into the war and do as we say, or you're going to join JFK? You're going to be the next one that disappears. So that was the dangerous game that they played as these events developed back in the 60s. So it was just a horrible national tragedy that has taken us on this weird dystopian trajectory, as far as I'm concerned. So let's be clear. Let me pull a Corinne Jean-Pierre. Let's be clear. Look at the history of the United States. How many assassinations and assassination attempts have we had? It's pretty common. I called Barack Hussein Obama out for being a Marxist, a radical, an anti-American danger to this country, but I did pray for his protection. I didn't want to see him explode. Just no follow-up comments there, please. But I didn't want to see that happen, nor do I want to see it happen to Biden or Trump. But I mean, John Wilkes Booth, and they shot at Reagan, and I mean, go down the line. There have been quite a few assassinations and assassination attempts in our our country's quick history. We're not even 250 years old, and they love killing the leaders. When a leader speaks, that leader dies. Know that song? Yep.
You won't have to follow me. Only you. Living Color. Cult of Personality.
Yeah, that's right.
Great song. Great drums, great guitar, great vocals. Damn, that song just rocks.
Oh, at the
Check
time, yeah, that was absolutely
Oh,
huge.
at the time, it's great anytime. It's like watermelon or ice cream or cold beer. It's good anytime. It's good anytime, man. Come on, you know the thing. It's good anytime. Cult of personality, man. You know the thing. Living color, not in living color, man. Living color. Anyway, so what brought up the JFK story today? Why is this in the news? What are we discussing specifically today? Because yes, we've been screaming from the rooftops. We need screaming from the Texas Bookstore repository for decades that we need to hear what's going on. What is the latest today? Why did this pop in the news?
Oh, by the way, I've been to Dealey Plaza, so I've seen it, and the angle when you're looking at the tower and where they would have had to shoot, like I guess a moving target vehicle, it's just like it just seems completely impossible. And Bill Hicks, the great comedian, always used to joke about that. That's why they don't want the public to go look at it, because if they actually went to the window in the shooter's nest or whatever, they'd be like, "There's no way this is going to happen." It was clearly a cover up with that old rifle, and it was probably shot from somewhere else, the grassy knoll, by somebody besides Oswald, and he was the easy patsy to take down. But we don't know. We still don't know all the details, but it appears somebody does. But we'll get to that. So first of all, there's 2 articles I want to just touch on very briefly. Here's RFK Jr., of course, running against Biden, decrying the Biden administration's withholding of JFK assassination records.
Oh, that's why it's in the. I think Blake is a RFK super fan. Admittedly, I don't know if it came down to RFK or Trump. Do you have figured out who you would vote for yet?
I would still probably lean towards Trump. I think so, but I think would be very important for me to get involved with the Democrat Party, even though I discussed they're awful to me. But I thought that the GOP was awful in 2012, and they were. And so I got involved, and the libertarian wing in Nevada was strong enough that they made one of the 5 states in the country needed to get Ron Paul on the ticket. And he came so close in 2012 to getting the Republican nomination until he was cheated in Florida.
There's close and there's so close. And then there's they had enough booby traps scattered along the way. Maybe today's episode should be called Booby Traps. I've mentioned that more than once already. Blake's booby traps. Anyway,
so yeah.
Well, at least in 2016, the RNC was pretty cool to us. We had press passes to the conference, to the RNC in Cleveland, and we got to cover that in all of its interestingness and glory and weirdness. And we hope to do the same next year. We'll keep you posted. See how that goes. It sure seems like both sides are going to be up to something. I've been hearing rumors, Blake, that the RNC is figuring out a way to broker the convention to screw Trump. I've been hearing about it, but we'll get to that when the time is right. Right now, it's RFK. So that's his uncle, and he's like, "I want to know the truth. I want the truth."
Yeah.
Like Matt Bellamy and Muse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great band. I can only imagine. Imagine your father and your uncle were both assassinated by like the CIA. And they're still covered up like 60 years later. It's incredible. So yeah, the magnitude of this time period, and it's great that this RFK is running now. This is the perfect time, and hopefully, things will come to a head, and they're putting pressure on this. So with the corrupt deep state, which a lot of it came to be during the JFK after the assassination. Which Eisenhower, the predecessor, warned about the military-industrial complex and what's going to happen, letting the CIA get too powerful, and they're going to try to take over, and it looks like they have. So they've controlled things ever since, and so now we're trying to get the records out, and they've stopped them again. So on the afternoon of Friday, before one of the busiest holiday weekends in America, the Biden administration issued a memo announcing that due to national security, it was going to postpone the release of certain classified documents relevant to the assassination of JFK. So what a big shocker that they are continuing to cover that up. And I think Biden had an issue with JFK Jr. So there's is a rivalry in the Democrats. So here we go, and there's one other story that I want to touch on because that
you said Biden had an issue with JFK Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think so did Hillary Clinton. So there's a different factions that are involved with the Democrats, and you've got some of the I don't want to pick sides, but yeah, there's definitely a power struggle within, but the Clintons and the Bidens and the Obamas are certainly in charge of that kind of deep state.
And let me respond to Dr. Jekyll here, asking if Sirhan still claims to be a Manchurian candidate. I recently watched an interview with RFK Jr. and I believe it was on with Bill Maher, and he was talking about it. He said he went in and met Sirhan, and he said they did the autopsy. They looked at it. His bullets went into the door jamb. One went through somebody's jacket. All of his bullets are accounted for, in that his father was shot from behind by an FBI, by an alphabet agency person. He says Sirhan doesn't remember anything happening. He doesn't remember being there. Some sort of brain, not a Biden thing where he's, either on crack like Hunter or out of his mind senile like the old man. But RFK Jr. definitely thinks that there's a strange thing going on with Sirhan. He doesn't think that he did it. It was interesting to listen to. I said, I guess I wasn't super up to speed on the latest of the autopsy from RFK. I hadn't taken a lot of time to study it, but you would imagine that RFK Jr. certainly took a bunch of time to figure out who killed his dad and how it happened, and that's his case. So I just wanted to add that as a sidebar. But you pulled this up here to talk about Roger Stone.
Yeah, this kind of goes into the question here. So Roger Stone says Trump told him that the remaining classified JFK assassination documents were, quote, so horrible. Well, Roger Stone was recently with Jack Posobiec, had some interesting details to share regarding those classified documents that the Biden administration decided not to release. So they were going to release, they keep finding like a lot of fluff documents to release, but nothing like no smoking gun, nothing damning. They continue to keep holding on to stuff, just kind of piecemeal. So Stone shared with Posobiec that in 2017, he contacted Trump and asked him what was he going to do about the JFK documents, because under the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992, all the documents were set to be released. So Stone stated Trump responded to him by saying, "Why hasn't anyone brought this to my attention?" And Trump later looked into it and told Stone, well, they don't want me to release it. And so Trump was referencing that the intelligence agencies did not want him to release the files. But despite the pushback, Trump did release over 80% of the documents, which revealed Lee Harvey Oswald received a 1099 from the FBI. He was on the payroll, and he attended a foreign language school funded by the Pentagon. But when Stone asked Trump why he didn't release the remaining 20%, Trump replied, "I can't tell you. It's so horrible you wouldn't believe it. Someday you'll find out all about it." So we can only hope that it will.
So what could be so horrible? Quote, end quote.
That it was probably not just Oswald, and that Oswald was the easy patsy, and they shot him with Jack Ruby because they did not want him to testify, because it would blow up their their testimony.
Well, there's also theory that Jackie did it.
Ruby. Right.
You've heard that. There's that theory, which is kind of strange based on the video I saw. I saw a grieving wife. I didn't see somebody that looked like she callously pulled a trigger. But there were likely many shooters. It was likely triangulated to make sure that it didn't miss. There were many shots fired at that time. So what could make it so horrible? I went to like the worst thing. Could his wife have done it? It's like, well, I haven't seen anything that gives that any credence.
I've heard rumors that they used maybe like mafia assassins to shoot as the second or third shooters. But what if it's possible that they used like some of their sharpshooters from the military? So what if they used an American war hero and made him shoot the president just so that the CIA could, overthrow Kennedy and get their way and get us involved in the war in Vietnam, amongst other things, and as well as just hijacking the power from the executive branch. So that would be pretty. What if somebody was ordered to shoot the president? I don't know. So that would be horrible. And then of course, think about all the missing witnesses, like I mentioned earlier. How many people died that were trying to tell the government the truth, and they paid for it with their lives? They had some mysterious car accident. So it was beyond JFK. There's a lot of other witnesses that died. There's a lot of fallout, a lot of problems, and we went to war. So this was a very dark day, and that led to a dark era. We're on the dystopian timeline.
We're still in this dark era.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got to tell you, I got a bit of a problem with Trump here.
For not releasing it?
The same guy that knew the Democrats and the lying legacy media and academia, social media, he knew that everybody was colluding to fortify the election in 2020 against him. We're 3 years in, and all you hear on the other side of like, well, why didn't he do something to stop it? You go, trust the plan. No, he's on it. Look at everything falling apart. This is totally the plan, you guys. This is fine. Everything's burning behind him. We need to turn. Okay, I'm asking Kenneth and Dreamer Ultra and Jekyll and who's that other girl? I didn't recognize her. Welcome to the show, and thanks for participating. We love you. Follow the New American Media and follow Blake on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News as well. But what we need is we need a crack meme team, not crack team, but like a crack team of meme artists. Okay, this is getting weird saying meme so many times. It just sounds weird to meme. Anyway, so I want that meme where that cartoonist character is sitting, what is it, like a dog or something in a hat, and it's sitting at a table and everything's burning behind it. It says, "This is fine." So it would be Trump, and it would be everybody colluding to rig to fortify 2020 against him. Big tech, lying legacy media, academia, the Democrat Party, and have them all behind them on fire. And Trump will say, "This is fine." And then in parentheses, trust the plan. Because it's just, that's all you get from the Trump supporters, the Trump loyalists, the Trump sympathizers, the Trump apologists. No. It's all part of like a plan. There's like 17th letter of the alphabet. Like he's totally in charge of this. Now, maybe that will be true. And wouldn't that be cool if it were? In the meantime, we're 3 years into this and we don't see any relief in sight. But that would be a great meme to just kind of sum it up. But if Trump knew that the alphabet agencies killed the former president and it was so horrible, and he was threatened to not say anything, and he didn't say it anyway, and he's just letting the traitors who overthrew the United States government to continue with their heavy-handed bully tactics, their mafiosa tactics. I mean, that's not a position of strength, Blake. That's really not America's president. Wow, what a great president. It's more like, well, damn, even you have to bow down to the real masters of this country. Like, it's really the alphabet agencies that run this place into the ground, and we have no hope to do anything about it, and we're just going to blow the heads off of your presidents if we feel like it. Like, those are the people that should be exposed the most. By the way, it was 50, 60 years ago. They're all dead. Most of these people are dead. I mean, who are we even protecting other than the legacy of these agencies that have clearly gone rogue and traitorous, Blake? I think that's a big knock on the Trump presidency, if true.
Okay, hold on. Right. So to counter that, I would say I believe that he was cheated out of his second term. He was cheated out of his second term. He never got to do that. The man was on defense entirely. They impeached him twice. Yeah, they went after him for that phone call. They ran that Russian investigation for 2 years. So if they hadn't taken the election, allegedly, then maybe all that stuff would have come out. He gave him 4 more years, but they were terrified. They had to get rid of him because they knew that maybe he would do stuff like that. So we never got to find out. And he should have won in a landslide. Why he didn't? How did Biden get 81 million votes? How did they stop counting in 6 swing states on election night? How did they bury the Hunter Biden laptop story? How did they do all the ballot harvesting and all of the mail-in voting and the signature and all the different dirty things that happened? They had to get rid of their political rival because, God help them if Trump had another 4 years to really to go after him. And so hopefully if he gets reelected back into him, then yeah, it's time for the revenge tour. It's over. They've thrown everything at him that they could, and they've even trying to do, you know, all these little civil trials or raiding Mar-a-Lago. That might get dropped. You got the case with Bragg in New York. That's not good. So
that's like indefinitely on hold, right? They're like, oh, we're going to let the feds handle this down in Florida. And then the thing in Florida seems to be falling apart.
Right. And then they're going to try to find something else. But the more they come after him, the more it makes him stronger. It makes more people like him and goes up in the polls. And so, yes, he's already said he gets back in. It's going to be war on the deep state. Now it's really getting personal. And anyway, so that's my take on that. So I'll give him a pass on that. Yeah, that would have been great if he could have just done everything magically in 4 years and changed everything. But that wasn't the way. We didn't get the second term that we thought we were, and here we are continuing to do to run the news here. But
thank you for pulling up that meme. That's exactly what I was hoping to see. Yes,
here's one version.
Trump saying, "Trust the plan. Everything is fine." With all of the demons behind him, the Pelosi, the Biden, the Obama, the Soros, the puppet masters, the globalists, Zelensky, Hunter doing a line of like it should be a collage of all the evil behind him, the Jake Tapper and the MSNBC hosts, all of them behind him on fire. Trust the plan, everything is fine. I don't know. I get it. I know, but like that's kind of a big one. If your country's overthrown, I mean, I guess the story goes that on day one, when you're inaugurated, day one, you're brought into the room and they show you what really happened to Kennedy and says, look, you work for us now. You want this to happen to you and your family, then go against us. But like, we'll give you some room to be you. But end of the day, we call the shots here, buddy. You want to get JFK'd? Get JFK'd. But it's like, holy shit. We just got mafia running the country. And it's one thing if the mafia was running it right. You know, the mafia, if anything, they were rich. Well, okay, if they are rich, it's one thing. But you're supposed to have the CEO of this country run it as a company, so we are rich. It's very different. If the people in charge were using heavy-handed tactics to make sure we're all thriving, the cost of goods and housing is super cheap because our dollar is so strong and tied to gold and something tangible, and we're all thriving, and you could keep one person at home building your family and teaching them inside your home instead of being indoctrinated, and one person's going out and earning a living because the dollar goes and stretches so far with its purchasing power. If the mafia were doing such a killer job running this joint, you're never going to fire the head coach. You can be as big. You could be Bill Belichick. You can be as big of an asshole as you want. Just win me the titles. Win me the Super Bowls. Just win, baby. Al Davis, just win, baby. Be an asshole. And that's what I did like about President Trump. He was an asshole, but he was our asshole. He was the CEO of America. And, you know, it was, you're not paying your fair share. We're done with this trade deal. You've been ripping us off for too long. It's over. And it's like, everybody was like, holy shit. It's like, yeah, that's what would happen if any normal person would take that position of power with any sort of business acumen. Wow. We haven't seen that in our entire lifetimes, Blake. So look, nobody's a bigger Trump supporter than myself. But I'm going to give him grief where it's due. And just to hear Roger Stone, who probably has more inside information about Trump and the whole process than anybody on earth, it rankles me a little bit. It's way past time that we find out what happened and run him out of town on a rail, if you will. Run him out of town on a rail. The Bushes probably complicit in that, right? Possibly.
George Bush Sr., CIA guy. He was, he was kind of a bad
Bada
guy.
Biden. I like Bada Biden.
Badass. He was a badass dude, but he was, he did a lot of corrupt stuff. So,
wait, I said Biden and you said badass. No, you meant
George Bush Sr.
There we go.
Yeah. Let me clarify that.
By the way, thanks, Unholy Hoax. You're saying great show. Haven't missed one yet. We appreciate you. Okay, any final thoughts on JFK before we move on to the next topic, sir?
Just that's another thing that Bill Hicks said was when the president gets elected, yes, they show him new videos that nobody's ever seen before, different angles of the JFK assassination to make sure that they know who's actually in charge here. I think that was actually done to Jimmy Carter. That could be, speculative, because he came in with such high hopes, and then he realized, he's not really in charge as much as he might want to believe he is. So who knows? It's all rumors, but it's very possible. And until we get those documents, we'll never know.
All right. So here's to some more revelation of documents and information, shall we? All right. Next story, Blake. All right. Well, it's let's go to this story. I could go one of two routes.
No, we should go to this story. This should be one of the top two stories.
Is it though? I don't see it. It just feels like they're framing him to get Gavin Newsom in there to run RFK Jr. out of town, and Biden's too stubborn to stay. So like, all right, we're going to use your idiot crackhead son against you. We're going to plant some evidence. To me, it just reeks like an obviously, patently, I don't know. Well, tell us what's going on. Give us the who, what, where, when, how. What's the latest? Blake, do you agree or disagree that we must prosecute whoever brought cocaine to the West Wing, even if it was a deep state operative?
I'm going to say probably not. I mean, they're making a big issue of this. However, I mean, you really shouldn't be bringing cocaine into the White House. But if it is Hunter's, and it looks like he is obviously the most likely suspect, and it'd be a violation of his probation, and it would land him in federal hot water, which is why they're seemingly unable to figure out this mystery. So there's you're siding
with Occam's razor. The most likely solution to the question is most likely the obvious. Well, you're kind of going along that route, right?
Well, I would think that if I don't think anybody would intentionally try to smuggle in cocaine to the White House. That'd be pretty dangerous. But if you're Hunter Biden and you're not going to go through the same rigorous, Secret Service, security check, then maybe you could. And then perhaps he dropped it. So we'll show you a few stories and people can decide. So we got Senator Tom Cotton here. He's challenging the Secret Service over the stash of cocaine found at the White House, pressing them for details in its ongoing investigation. That is found in the West Wing, believed to have been brought in by someone who works there or had authorization to be there. Duh. But anyway, that's just one story. And then we can go to the next one. It's from the ex-CBP head to say that literally should take about 30 minutes to identify who brought cocaine into the White House. The reality is that you have a president and a White House that have a disregard for law. They don't care. This says a former assistant secretary of the state handling their narcotics issues. So Mark Morgan, a former FBI agent, acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, just told the Just the News, it's the website here, that it should take the U.S. Secret Service about 30 minutes to figure out how the cocaine came into the White House and who brought it there. He says, quote, "I was there countless times. I put my cell phone in that exact box they're talking about. I know it well. Oftentimes, there is a Marine standing there. It literally takes them 30 minutes to solve." And so we'll hit the next story. So why is it taking so long? If it's anybody but Hunter, why could it possibly be taking this long? So we got Biden laughing as reporters ask him about the cocaine found at the White House. So, of course.
Well, Joe Biden goes to that same, like the manners course or the acting school that Kamala Harris does. When Biden's confronted with something that he doesn't like, now he will snap. Remember at the union event where he started growling in the guy's face, and they pulled him aside and said, "No, Joe, give him those big fake teeth like you're a like a Halloween skeleton." Like Jim Carrey had such a chance to go, "Let me smell you something." They screwed that up on Saturday Night Live. It should have been, "Let me smell you something." God, that would have been an awesome opportunity. But with those big goofy teeth, I'm just going to smile. Just smile. That's what I do. And that's what Kamala does. Kamala smiles and she does her goofy laugh. These people,
she laughs uncomfortably.
Smile and laugh.
Oh, definitely. Well, yeah, he's certainly not going to go off script and answer these questions that could incriminate somebody close to him. Most likely, like I said, if Hunter's, on probation, if he gets busted with that, he's going to federal prison or something. He's going to be in a lot of hot water, and I don't know if they can protect him. So they'll just pretend like they don't know who it is. But we even know it's pretty obvious who it is. And here he is. This is Hunter Biden in the West Wing, or I don't know if it's the West Wing, wherever he's partying for the 4th of July. And Ian Miles Chung has shown this video. So check it out. See it for yourself. It's a very quick clip, but it certainly looks like Hunter is taking a little bump of blow. Let's roll clip. Kind of hiding behind his mom, and then he sniffs his look at that. He's got probably a little shooter or whatever. He got a little cocaine popping it up his nose right there as everybody's partying. Very discreet, right behind his mom. Look at that. Joe's laughing. He probably knows what his son just did. Doesn't care. Yep.
Get it? No.
Very clever, very covert. We don't know for sure. I don't even care. I'm not even judging him. I don't think it's like that big of a deal, but it certainly is big news that was happening, and it's embarrassing for Hunter again. But it's like, what could he possibly do to get in trouble? Like, if anything, the thing I want him to get in trouble for, well, obviously the major thing is involved in all these shady business dealings.
Well,
but
we can just call it treason. Like they're selling our country out. Like, go ahead.
No, I was going to say messing with minors and what have you, or driving 174 miles an hour. I don't, there's things that endanger certain people. I don't care too much about the drug use as much as others. I'm more of a libertarian in my views, but certainly it's amazing that the president's son is that big of a degenerate, and they're still in power. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. So, I mean, he's obviously suspect number one. As I mentioned, Occam's razor, the most likely is probably the thing. But I mean,
who else would have the balls and the audacity to do that unless it was just a complete accident? But I mean, who is, I don't know.
The deep state to get him run out. He's probably resisting, stepping aside. And they probably see he's a sinking ship, and he's probably not acquiescing. And they're like, okay, well then we're just going to do what we can to run you out of town on a rail, pal. We'll take you out one way or another. It feels I don't know, it's planting drugs on someone, planting images or videos on their phone or their computer. There's several easy ways to take somebody out. You can Assange somebody. I mean, Assange was accused of something that was never proven 15 years ago, and he's been stuck in a closet for a decade and a half. I mean, it's very easy to take people out. I wonder if they're not trying to take these guys out, because they got to get Gavin Newsom in with time to run. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck with RFK Jr., and they don't want to be stuck with RFK Jr. any more than they want to be stuck with Trump.
Yeah, but they can't let him go out on a scandal. You can't get him on the 25th Amendment. You can't get him on a scandal. They'll just have to have him, just quietly drop out of the race. And then they'll let Gavin run against RFK Jr. That's probably their saving grace. That's the way that they can win this. Because otherwise, they're trying to lay out all the stops. Like, they don't want the debates. They don't want Iowa or New Hampshire. They want to start with South Carolina, where he was able to win, so he can start out on top. But I mean, I don't know if they think they can prop this guy up for another 4 years. Everything's coming unraveled.
I mean, Weekend at Bernie's only had a couple of sequels, right? Eventually, what did Ben Franklin say?
Yeah, one really bad one.
Right, the others were masterpieces.
We got straight to video. Was there a third and a fourth? I mean, there might have been. I thought it was just the one sequel, and it was just awful.
But Ben Franklin said, fish like house guests both begin to stink after 3 days. Something like that. Something along those lines. Ben Franklin, the genius. So yeah, Weekend at Bernie's, you're propping a corpse up. I mean, dude, this guy's we're living in a cuckoo clock, sir. I mean, you can think Trump is crass and you don't think he's funny, even though most people do. Or you could just, I don't know, you don't like the cut of his jib, or I don't know, you were just brainwashed to hate him because your lying legacy handlers in the air quote media told you Orange Man bad. But I mean, this Biden guy, this is we're getting punked. I just keep waiting for Ashton Kutcher to jump out. Candid camera. Oh, you've been punked. You know, whatever the latest version of that is. Just kind of, I'm waiting for it. So we'll see how it shakes out. When Biden announced that he was running for another term, it's like, bro, I didn't believe that story when it came out. I had to report it, but it didn't make any sense. So anyway, that's just my
yeah. Look at the line, the blurring the lines of satire. So now when you look at this Babylon Bee article here, it kind of makes you think, if they actually did find this baggie and it actually had Hunter Biden's name and fingerprints all over it, they probably still wouldn't be able to figure it out. So they don't want to. They know exactly who it belongs to, and they're never going to tie it together. They can't have the president's son get thrown in jail and destroy the administration. So here it is, another embarrassing little, we'll call this more of a kerfuffle than a scandal.
The cocaine kerfuffle.
Yep, there you go.
Actually, right. that might be the good title for this one. Biden and the cocaine kerfuffle. That is a lot of chutzpah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So the cocaine kerfuffle. All right. Well, any more thoughts on this one before we move to the next?
Nah, I'm good.
Next story here. Get your stories piping hot. And I mean, you could say that we've buried the lead, but this was our main story yesterday. So it's a little, we wanted to get to some other stories. So it didn't feel like we were doing the same story, same show. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, this is probably the biggest story on earth right now. This is super important for a million reasons. Blake, do you agree or disagree that the Biden regime should appeal their censorship case involving big tech? Agree or disagree? They should appeal.
I'm going to disagree, but of course, if I were them, I would agree.
Right.
Well, for obvious reasons. So I do have a follow-up story on that.
Yes, pull that one up. Now this one, by the way, this isn't at the Supreme Court level. This was at the state level.
Yeah, it's in Missouri.
Missouri. I'll be deep in the cold ground before I recognize Missouri. I think that was a Simpsons, Grandpa Simpson, maybe. Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe. So just in the Biden regime files a notice of appeal in the Missouri versus Biden censorship case with the Gateway Pundit as the lead plaintiff, demands the right to keep censoring conservatives. So Gateway Pundit proudly is the lead plaintiff. A Trump-appointed federal judge on Tuesday issued the preliminary injunction prohibiting DHS, FBI, DOJ, and other agencies from its government-wide fascist conspiracy with big tech to censor speech and manipulate the public on a variety of topics. The federal government censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, the COVID lab leak theory, efficiency of COVID vaccines, and many other topics. And Google, Facebook, and Twitter are all named in the lawsuit. And U.S. District Court Judge Terry Doughty found the Biden regime violated the First Amendment by censoring unfavorable views in a blistering 155-page opinion.
No, that's not Trey Gowdy.
Nope. And
what's that guy's name?
Trey Gowdy of South Carolina.
What's this other guy's name?
Terry Doughty of Louisiana.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is massive. This is massive because all the reasons we said during the previous segments. We've been in a parallel dimension where our rights and liberties granted to us by God, by the way, they can't be granted by government, meaning they can't be taken away by government. And they've been up to fortifying elections, aka stealing them from the will of the people. And so right now, they're actually appealing this and say they have the right to tell you what's right and what's wrong. And they're doubling down on this. They're really doubling down on this, Blake.
They need it. Yeah. How else are they going to get elected when they can't, like, when they have a giant scandal like the Hunter Biden laptop that should absolutely destroy your chances? What are they going to do next time around if they can't, like, censor that story and say, and use their FBI agents at Facebook or Twitter to say, no, this is fake, you got to pull it. And then they actually punish the New York Post for reporting on it. So they need that power because they know they're vulnerable, they're weak, and that's the only way that they can maintain this facade that they've pushed over the American people.
Well, I don't know the timeline on this, but I'd like to fast track this right up to the Supreme Court so they could shoot it down, codify it as case law. Like, it's super important. I've been saying since the New American Media started, if you go to thenewamericanmedia.com and look on the right-hand side of the page, it has a TNAM 1984 watch, because I've always felt that there needs to be some sort of a, I don't know. It's almost like you hate to create a government position. Nothing's more permanent than a temporary government position. But with that being said, along with the most terrifying words being, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But I've always said that there should be a 1984 watch, a committee that has to work with big tech and ensure that all these new technological products and all of these services that are rolled out, that they're not violating our basic human rights, our civil rights. Let's see if Benjamin Crump and Reverend Al Sharpton come out defending our civil liberties on this one. I don't know if that's going to be the case, Blake. Actually, I know that it will not be, because there's no racial hustling component, and those guys are addicted to that. However, I think there needs to be some sort of governmental agency in America that shuts down when people try to do this. Just playing umpire, calling balls and strikes, not being like Tim Donaghy rigging the games. I don't think I finished my Tim Donaghy point earlier. I think I referenced, hey, good job, and I went off the topic. But the point is that you need someone calling the balls and strikes, calling the fouls and the in and out of the out of bounds, and not swaying it, not being bribed or coerced in any way to rig the outcome of the game. And so whether it's the deep state or whether it's big tech, you can't be doing this. There need to be repercussions. There must be punitive measures. They must be sued into oblivion, if by nobody else than our own federal government, calling balls and strikes, saying, look, you read our top 10 rules. These are the 10 commandments of the United States, if you will. It's our Bill of Rights. You friggin' idiot. It says right here in number 1, you cannot do what you just did. We're seizing your company. We're suing you for Alex Jones type dollars. You are now sued for 1 quadrillion billion gazillion dollars. How dare you question a narrative? Where are the teeth on these things, though, Blake? I just bring it up to the Supreme Court as quickly as possible, please.
Yeah, that might be the next step. I don't know. It's going to drag out a little while, but they need this for next year, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble. They want all their federal goons inside these social media companies, whether that's, Facebook, Google, YouTube. They can't do it on Twitter anymore, but wherever they can manipulate public opinion. And we just did a show yesterday where they showed that Democratic operative that was entirely fake. So they're boosting these people on Twitter, and they're not even real people. They're just there to throw, crazy talking points out there to normalize things. It's crazy warfare. This information,
it is warfare. It really is. It's fighting for the lifeblood of a nation. And yeah, playing off Kenneth B. Yabba dabba dillion dollars. He said like shabba dabba dillion, shabba dabba ding dong. Anyway, okay. Well, let's see how that goes. The Biden administration is doubling down. The same organization that brought you, we want you masked up, to figuratively, literally silence you. We want you walking around in a silence. You're like the dude in Silence of the Lambs. What's his name? The character?
Oh,
Anthony Hopkins plays
Dr.
Evil. $1 quadrillion. $100.
Oh, somebody's got to get it in chat. I can't believe I can't think of it. Lecter?
All right, somebody
Hannibal
in chat.
Lecter. Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter. There you go. Okay, so
All right.
yeah, they want us walking around with so we're kind of like we're Bane or something from the Batman's. That's Batman, right? I think.
Yeah,
anyway,
one of them.
Joker.
Yeah.
But yeah, something has to be done punitively to stop this stuff. Yes, Lecter. Thank you, Kenneth B. So, all right, we'll see what happens. They're doubling down on their awful policies because that's literally what they do. It's obvious, folks. You must resist this regime. You must boot them to the curb and file charges and try them for the treason that they have earned. All right, next story.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to figure out what's going on in America. And this story comes up, and it's like, well, where is the backbone of America? What is America made of? Yes, you've all heard the phrase Judeo-Christian nation. Yes, the Mayflower, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the Carine Jean Piera. I don't know, whatever. That was the fourth, the Carine Jean Piera. But what is this?
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree that modern Christians have become weak and useless in today's world? Agree or disagree? Or have they always been weak and useless, Blake? You're not.
No, they haven't. But they're certainly, they are not the same. They don't have the same the power that they did decades ago. That's definitely for sure. But this is interesting because it comes from an actor we just talked about yesterday, Jim Caviezel. Was interesting. This is out of the Daily Wire.
By the way, not to be confused with Pauly Shore, known as the Weasel, buddy. The Weasel. I'm Jim the Weasel.
Oh, he had a pretty good run in the early 90s. Yeah, he was quite the celebrity back then.
Yeah.
Some interesting movies. But no, this is Jim Caviezel, and he's, the weak and useless Christians and the moral depravity in America. And this is the Passion of the Christ actor. He had some strong words for what he describes as the weak Christians. So the 54-year-old actor currently promoting his new film, Sound of Freedom, which explores the horrors of human trafficking. So I love this guy already. So yeah, he played Jesus in the Passion of the Christ, and now he's doing some really good things. And you're going to fight human trafficking. That's very dangerous stuff.
It's one of the most, along with firefighter. I just think police are so corrupt sometimes it's hard to even. But like along with firefighter, the people that are hunting the pedo rings and the abusers and the human trafficking, the real slaves of modern day. The academia wants to constantly talk about shit that was going on in the 1960s or stuff in the 1860s or stuff in the 0060s. They can't ever talk about today, because if they talked about today, they'd be up in arms about the same topics that this Caviezel movie is discussing. Yes, it's crucial. It's super important.
Yeah. So this movie from Angel Studios is predicted to earn $20 million in the first 6 days release. So the problem that modern day Christianity has become so weak and useless, as Caviezel told Fox News Digital in a new interview. And quote, I mean, modern day Christians are more afraid of the devil than they are of God. God could destroy the devil without a glance, but he looks to us to make a decision. So he says you have moral depravity. I mean, moral decay everywhere, falling apart. Laws don't mean anything anymore. We don't have a First Amendment. There's no such thing as free speech anymore. You're absolutely destroyed everywhere. And the media throws out that, hey, everybody's a racist. So what do we think, Brian? I am, it's a lot of these people, they certainly show up at church and, they fill out, they fill out the pews. Maybe they throw a little money in the basket here and there. But are they fighting human trafficking? Are they really out on the field? Are they making their voices heard? Are they expressing the concerns, outrage over what's been done to this country? A little bit, maybe, but I think he would be in a position to make that to make that statement. He's out fighting in that dangerous fight, doing God's work against the devil. And I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual, and this is a spiritual war to some extent that we are involved in. And there is good and there is evil, and we are trying to fight the evil. And it'd be a lot easier if we had a lot more people getting involved. So
Dr. Jekyll here is saying that what's it say? The Bible says there will be a great falling away in the end. So it kind of simultaneously feels like everything's gone crazy, but it also feels with some of these Supreme Court rulings that a lot of the craziness is being set back onto a track that, I don't know, just of common sense. Some things happened in the 70s. Some people did some things, and it just, I don't know, like we're simultaneously in the worst spot, but we've also turned the corner and the wokeness has crescendoed. Maybe we'll read in the history books that it all hit a peak with Bud Light and Target and nonstop boycotts. So I don't know. Are we completely falling away, or are we turning the page and getting back on track? I think we're going to need quite a few more solid wins to think we're back on track, because it's really perilous. And they keep using the N-word over there in Ukraine, as President Trump keeps pointing out, the N-word, the N-word, the N-word, Russia and Ukraine talking nuclear, just bandying this about as if this is normal. It's not normal. That's the other double N-word, not normal. It's something that should not be said. We should not be in this place. And all it takes is one, flip the switch, press the button, and who knows? Maybe our grid goes down and we enter 10 years of darkness. I don't know what's coming next, but all I'm trying to do is use my voice to communicate with the masses, try to unpack fact from fiction while we have the opportunity to do so. Maybe let the cards fall where they may. But yeah, modern Christians, weak and useless in today's world. I think kind of like how you were defending President Trump, saying like everything was stacked against him. Everybody was attacking him. He had to fight. He was so busy fighting these off that things were happening right here behind him, sneaking through. Oh, my hands are, yep, come on, right this way. And you're fighting one thing off and everything's happening right behind you. And maybe that's the story of modern Christianity. Just society. I don't know who you think is controlling society. I've heard many people say many different things, from Hollywood to even Khazarians. You've heard that bandied about as well. That's a phrase that has been rising in popularity.
Yeah, Khazarian mafia. Yeah.
Well, today's story is all about mafia, and it's that my father, when I was raised Christian, and my uncle's a preacher and this and that, and I don't agree with everything, and I hear some things, and it's like, some resonate with me, and a couple kind of don't. But my dad always said, like, read the Bible, like whatever the story is, just change the names. The stories and the points of the stories are the same today. Jealous brother killing brother. You got government corruption. You got the power and control and manipulation and heavy-handed tactics and crossing and double crossing and lying and cheating and stealing. It's like, these are all human stories that we could learn from. And if we kind of calibrate our compass, maybe we'll know what true north is. Maybe we'll know, hey, if I kind of aim this way, I'll avoid some pitfalls. If I drive on the road like Hunter Biden at 170 miles an hour doing whatever he was doing, if I avoid the guardrails and the curbs, maybe I'll get to my destination. So maybe modern Christians have just been getting attacked from every single direction, and just they're tired, they're overwhelmed, and or like Jekyll says, in the end times, this is what society is going to look like. If you want to find a Sodom and Gomorrah, look no further than Vegas or even the United States in general. Hollywood, it's very heavy-handed. It's all being dumped down at once, and it's a lot to handle, Blake. So I don't know. Weak and useless. I think there's a lot of places where Christians should really, they could be doing more. And that doesn't mean just 2 or 3 hot button issues that you personally hate, not you, Blake, but your average listener out there who hates Republicans for these reasons. It's a lot of reasons if you dig through the teachings and the philosophy. Now, there's a Pope. Now, Pope isn't Christian. The Pope is Catholic. Catholic is under the banner of Christianity, but Catholicism is its complete own unique. Well, I didn't want to say beast because that has a real Luciferian connotation there per se, but Catholics aren't. Anyway, Catholics and Christians.
I went to Catholic school for 4 years, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And although it was a fine experience for me, it wasn't really. It didn't sell it too well, so I didn't really carry it with me. Yeah, it's different, and I would kind of argue that if Jesus were alive today, if he came back, I don't really know if he would have that much to do with the Catholic Church, because it would be a different representation of what Christianity would be.
They would erase his page on Facebook. They would ban him from sharing content on Instagram. 100%. I'm not saying I'm Jesus because that's happened to me. I'm just saying they wouldn't let him talk.
Yeah, very, very well could be. Same with our forefathers. If they came back, they would all be domestic terrorists. They'd be rounded up and thrown in the DC gulag. Jesus would be locked up in the basement of the Vatican. And yeah, we have the evildoers in charge right now. And yes, who is it? Dreamer Ultra. Yes, I apologize. I thought it was just Alex Soros setting up with the Pope, but I guess it was also Bill Clinton. So yeah, you got some bad people meeting with the Pope. And that was, yeah.
So it's not the Bill Clinton Foundation head, Alex Soros. It's Bill Clinton, comma, and foundation head, Alex Soros. I kind of read it wrong the first time, too.
Yeah, it's the big DNC, globalist wing here. Meeting
Pope goes the weasel.
Yeah.
Pope goes Caviezel.
Definitely. So, okay, good call. All right. Well done, Dreamer Ultra. My bad.
All right. Well, any more thoughts on Christianity in modern times, or are we on to the rapid fire round of just the last couple issues? And you had one surprise story, right?
Yeah, there's one extra one we can throw in there. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's go.
Because we're talking about, somebody was mentioning silver and gold.
And platinum.
Platinum.
And unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
So
palladium, or there's all kinds of things you can collect. But anyway, so it's going to go into that with the CBDC. A quick note on that. So anyway, good stuff. Plenty of stories. Well, yeah, but lightning round for sure.
Lightning round. Next story. All right. Well, if that played on your side, congratulations. It did not on my side. I heard like half a second.
I saw it. Yeah.
Cool. Blake, agree or disagree that the French police officer who instigated riots should be in prison? Agree or disagree? Do you want to jail the police?
Well, I am going to disagree. This is kind of like I was getting into yesterday. All the French riots were kind of similar to the George Floyd incident. Now, with that one, it did look very aggressively with the officer looking like he was kneeling on his neck. I'm not going to get lost in the weeds of that. But
looking like.
Yes. The angles were bad. The optics were awful. And the whole country went nuts.
And then nobody cared to look at the autopsy report. And nobody watched the beginning of the footage when he said he couldn't breathe when they were arresting him in his vehicle, when he was put in the back seat of the cop car and he squiggled his way out. Right. Okay. Nobody watched those. They already made their minds up because they saw. We got to be more discerning with our information, folks. But yes, please.
Oh yeah, people rush to judgment. So like,
it's the worst thing we can do.
Yeah, if there's a criminal who happens to be a minority and they get into an altercation with a white police officer, and even though the white police officer is just doing their job and did the right thing, and maybe the suspect ended up getting killed in the process, the people will just emotionally react and start burning buildings down before they figure out, oh, well, wait, maybe this was actually justified. It wasn't just somebody being hunted down for sport. So French police officer, we'll just say his name's Florian M., who stands accused of voluntary manslaughter in the death of a 17-year-old hoodlum, Nahel M. in Nanterre, will remain in custody. His lawyers demanded his client be released because he may not be safe in French prison. So the 38-year-old officer was indicted for voluntary manslaughter after being presented to two investigating judges of the judicial court. He's been incarcerated since last Thursday after the shooting death of the 17-year-old juvenile delinquent.
I love the verbiage. Juvenile,
Right.
delinquent, hoodlum. It's very slanted writing here.
It is. I'll give it. You're right. Out of the Gateway pundits, sometimes they do that. They do some great reporting, but yes, they can be very biased and slanted. So yes, good call.
Do we have video? Do we have video on this shooting?
I haven't seen all of these videos, but it's very possible, and some of it's in French, so I don't really know what's going on.
So that we can accurately understand what it is we're talking about.
Right. So he was pulling this guy over, 17-year-old in a Mercedes, and he sped off. And then when he caught up, he said, stop, pull over, stop, or you're going to get a bullet in the head. And there was 2 other passengers, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. And that's what they claimed. The officer said, cut the engine or I'll shoot. So it's, I don't know. Well, it's just him stunt riding a motorcycle. So here's the guy that got shot. But all
right, can you mute that so we don't get flagged for using?
Oh yeah. Music? Sorry. Okay.
So good stupid. Call, the ASCAP and BMI. We're really gonna try to sell this garbled ass audio. You need to suspend our channel because we played some content that had music on it. They're so damn stupid. I used to work at the world's largest talent agency. They got to get that thing figured out. It's not like we're cutting into sales of whatever that awful music is by playing a clip that happens to have it in the background. But anyway, I digress. Right. So that's the guy that's dead, the one that was doing the popping the wheelies.
Popping wheelies, and I guess he was also in this gangster rap video. So he's like an Algerian immigrant, and he doesn't
immigrant really or alien. Did he go to the country legally? Did he file papers? Was he a respectful member of the community, or was he an invader?
I'm not 100% about that, but it looks like, a lot of these European countries, they're taking these migrants in no matter what. So I don't know if it's probably similar to what we have here at the border. I don't know all the details of the story. All I know is that France was having
you can mute that song too, if you could. I don't want to hear that.
Well, I did. As well. Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, it's playing on my side. Sorry. Okay, it's off.
Oh, it must be a little tiny bit of it. But yeah,
okay, so this guy's rapping with a macaw parrot on his shoulder. Neat.
I don't know if that's him. He's in the video.
Oh, he's just in the video.
He's got the attitude, and he's a young kid, and he doesn't have the respect for the authority or the country. And he got into this altercation with the officer. He was shot. He died, and the people freaked out, and they burned France down for a week. So. Bad. So they're going to have to, we'll continue to keep an eye on that and see what develops out of it. But it seems like this was a decorated cop, and it was a young, juvenile delinquent. So it was probably justified somehow. It's a terrible tragedy, but it wasn't a reason to have all this violence and all this looting and all these problems. So people need to stick to the facts and not overreact to things.
Just the facts, Jack.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd be interested to see the video of whatever this situation is. I mean,
it's still
playing stupid games right off the bat. The second part of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm not saying someone deserves to be executed. I'm gonna shoot you in the head unless you bow down and kiss my feet. Okay, we know cops that get out of line and aggressive and throw around their. So I don't know. I don't know enough to have an opinion on this. That's why I was wondering if there was video. So
no, not on that pullover. I don't know if they've got the same body cam and the same cameras that we might have here in the States. So
they have to worldwide.
Well, I haven't seen it. It would be all over Twitter, right? But it would be all over Twitter if they did. I saw videos of France, all the rioting and stuff that was happening, but I haven't seen the video of the pulling over. But that was a screenshot of what happened.
Well, after Michael Brown and, all these situations that stories are misreported intentionally globally, all police force need to be wearing cameras that cannot be turned off and the content cannot be deleted to protect them from false accusation and protect us from rogue, aggressive, abusive cops. Every nation needs to be doing this. Every precinct across America needs to be doing this. I don't care the cost. There is no, it's like the election system. If there's not a place to open up the source code and double check that everything ran appropriately, you can't have faith in the system. If there are things that are happening behind closed doors, people are getting kicked out, surveillance cameras are getting shut off, boxes and boxes are being delivered, things are being pulled out from underneath tables, vote counts are spiking in a straight up direction. Some precincts have 0 votes for the other candidate. If you can't easily verify and compare the digital vote to the paper vote, if you have no transparency in your election process, there is no faith in your election process, your electoral process. So if there is no mechanism on a police officer that's going to protect them from the false accusations for lawsuits and otherwise, or to push bullshit narratives, or to protect people from heavy-handed abuse from police, then there's no faith in that system either. So I once again encourage everybody, every precinct to adopt those cameras immediately. Because what if he had reached for something? It's like any normal person would go, well, of course that's what a person would expect. I don't know. I don't know the story. I can't see it. So I don't have an opinion on it other than what I've already expressed. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on France. You said it's dying down. It's calming down now.
Yeah, I think things have kind of wore themselves out.
Good. Okay, next story. Blake, do you agree that Instagram Threads is going to be even better than Twitter?
I am going to disagree. How could you be better than Twitter? But I'll also check it out. But just knowing the nature that Elon Musk is definitely a free speech absolutist, and knowing that Mark Zuckerberg and the Meta are definitely not. So that's why I would say right off the bat, I can't see how it could possibly be better. But it is out. Brian, have you used it? Because you spend a lot more time on Instagram than I do.
Not anymore. Not since I've actually moved YouTube and Instagram off of my main page. Like I don't even use it because they won't let me share content. And right. YouTube is just I'll use Rumble for anything that I can as a first option. Somebody streaming live, it's like, oh, I see it on the alert for YouTube. I go, oh, I'm gonna go look that up on Rumble and watch them there. I'm trying to wean myself off of them. No, I haven't. I guess I'll probably sign up for it just so I can save my name so that somebody can't pretend to be me for the New American Media. And then I will put up one post saying that Mark Zuckerberg's Meta deleted the New American Media's Facebook page with no cause, with no explanation, with no opportunity to appeal. And we formed this page as a simple protest to tell him that his company should be sued into oblivion. And that'll be my only post on there. I think that's what I'm going to do. If I feel like putting that much energy into a Zuckerberg product again, which I don't think I feel like doing, but I probably should just to keep the brand. Sign up for both accounts, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show and the Agree to Disagree Show and the New American Media, I suppose, and just lock them in and just put one page up quickly describing in one sentence how awful they are.
Right. No, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm curious. I mean, I don't mind trying to, utilize all the platforms where we can. And if we get censored, so be it. But so I will check it out, even though I kind of hate the TikTok, but that's another avenue as well. We should be definitely trying to, put information on all of the things. But it's certainly not something you can really build long term on, because you just can't trust these platforms. They're gonna blacklist you or shadow ban or censor, suspend, and they're gonna cheat you somehow. But it's just the state where we live in right now. So I would feel more comfortable with Twitter, but we shall see. It's going to be interesting. And it was interesting with just seeing that these guys are training. I guess both of them were Elon and Mark training for their big fight. They're both rolling jiu-jitsu. That was interesting there.
Robot wars.
Yeah, pretty
Zuckerberg.
much.
Let's go.
So, here it is. Zuckerberg says Threads, the Instagram's new Twitter-like app, launched with 5 million users. Elon Musk was responding with laughing emojis. This guy saying, my Facebook, Instagram, social graph is basically all the people I knew in high school. Place where you read all the Twitter-like thoughts of the people you follow on Instagram. Sounds like a special kind of hell. That's what Elon Musk giggled. So Good stuff. I like the rivalry. It's been fun. But yeah, that's what I've got.
Zuckerberg needs to be destroyed. His companies need to be bankrupted. They made an enemy out of me. They silenced me multiple times during the 2020 fortification. Deleted my company page for the New American Media. He can go to hell. His company can go to hell. And all of the child abuse stuff that's been uncovered about Instagram. I mean, this is who these people are. They don't want people exposing the actual who, what, where, when, why of what's happening on Earth. And they do want to cover up and allow all sorts of demonic activity. So screw them. And I loved when Zuckerberg went on Rogan. Oh, well, you know, the alphabet agencies, they came in and kind of threatened me. So I did. Bullshit. You've been a spy app, both a spy operation and a spy application since their inception. It was a data gathering technique from its inception. Don't pretend that this is a new thing.
What if
threatened?
What if the original Zuckerberg was actually a good guy? Because he does look a lot different now. So maybe the real one is like locked up away somewhere, and that's the fake Zuckerberg. That's the Borg Zuckerberg. So maybe he's the real one's like screaming like, "Oh no! What did they do to my beautiful platform? They've ruined
His beautiful platform was started at an Ivy League school so that they could do. Remember hotornot.com back in the day?
MySpace. I never liked Facebook. Ever liked Facebook. I don't get the appeal.
I've always loved the functionality of it. I have
Twitter
30 different groups there. I love the functionality of it. I hate the company. So anyway, like I said, I'll probably sign up for Threads just to lock in the account and then put our form of protest up there. So that's my story there. Any final words there before you get to your final story, Blake? One more story.
Sure.
Oh, I don't have a stinger for this one. Sorry.
Oh, are we out of stingers? We used them all up, huh?
No, we're not out of them. I was just trying to be faster. But now that we've discussed it and we've lost the time factor, let's just play the stinger.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I don't have a. I don't think whatever you typed, I don't see it.
I did have a caption. The CBDC currency will be beneficial for humanity. Agree or disagree?
See, I don't see that caption on my side. Do you have that on your side?
Yeah, I added it before the show.
I can't see it.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I can't see any of the comments. So there we go.
I can't see the comments anymore. They've gone. I have to go over here to look on like my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I see the chat, but I have to go into a different, like the admin, to see the chat. But it's great to have everybody. Sorry, we haven't been more interactive, but there's some kind of technical difficulty with Restream. I can't see the comments, but I can after the show.
Dreamer Ultra says, "I need Threads like I need more gallons." Now that's an interesting quote because those are like literal fibrous threads that come out of your skin. People are trying to figure out what the hell those are. Anyway, so what is CBDC? Any
central bank digital currency. So it would be purely digital dollar.
So what is the story of it today? I can't see the story.
I found a cool little tweet here from the Bowtied Scholar. So,
and by the way, while you pull up the Bowtied Scholar, do you know what CBGB stands for? The nightclub, the famous music venue, CBGB.
I don't think so.
Country Bluegrass Blues.
Oh, okay.
And it turned into like a punk mecca. Anyway, I digress, but not central bank digital currency. It's Country Bluegrass Blues. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, this is definitely not Country Bluegrass Blues. It is.
Maybe we'll be singing the blues after this.
Well, yeah, if everybody goes on the CBDC, because that could be problematic, because then the government could control the different ways that you can spend it. So what Bowtied, and people should go if you're into financial stuff. There's a lot of these Bowtied accounts. I go on crypto Twitter, and they got a lot of great alpha, a lot of great information that you can get from these guys. They're very smart, very productive, hardworking community here who put out a lot of great content. So, but yeah, they're all anonymous. They're cartoon animals. But yeah, it's obvious people are trying to get into the Bitcoin so people can control their own currency. Otherwise, the central banks of the world, the governments, are going to be trying to transition to a central bank digital currency right out of the World Economic Forum. So here are the dangers. There's pros and cons of such a thing. They'll try to sell it as a good thing, but it probably will be used against us. So check out this clip from this guy.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and yes, where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful, the use of a CBDC. And the one final note I will make is that
that's it. So imagine if they can't. That's the drawback. That's what's terrifying.
And they can make your money disappear. They can make it expire.
Yeah, well, they could use social credit score against you. So they could be like, Brian, you've been kicked off of Facebook. You're suspended on, Instagram, Meta, and you're spreading this information on YouTube, and that will affect your score. And yeah, you might not be able. They can just shut that off, and you wouldn't even be able to spend it.
So can we negatively impact the score of all the lying legacy media companies and all of social media who lied and pushed misinformation and disinformation, sue them into oblivion? If that's not the case, I don't want to hear any of this crap, and it needs to all be stopped. It's
right?
incredible.
Yeah, that would be fair.
Like a positive thing.
Yeah, I'm not totally against that, but the way that they're making it, yeah, they're trying to control the information.
I'm totally against it. Totally.
Oh yeah, no, it's got to go. So yeah, it's better to get your own crypto wallet, or as Kenneth was a lively chat in here talking about, precious metals, silver, gold. I don't know too much about platinum. I would look for something that you can liquidate at a pawn shop in an emergency. That I think would be more efficient there. But certainly having a crypto wallet, so like that you can rather than like say leaving it on an exchange like Coinbase or Binance. So you have your own self-custody, and everybody is going to be their own bank. So that's the transition, but definitely wouldn't want to get into CBDCs. Kenneth was also saying about the dinar. There are also alternative currencies, whether it's like the dinar, the Vietnamese dong. Dinar is Iraqi, I believe. But there's some of these foreign currencies. If the dollar was ever to collapse or to take a step down, or if people start dumping the dollar as the world reserve currency, some of these other alternative currencies could revalue, and they could be undervalued right now and be worth a lot more if the dollar goes down, in this case as the dinar. But we shall see. I don't know how all that's going to develop, but there's a big financial hurricane that we're kind of in the eye of the hurricane right now.
And the CBDC is set to debut this month, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So yeah, they're going to keep.
Good. I hope it flops just like Threads. I hope it flops just like Threads.
Definitely.
All right, Blake, tell everybody where to follow you. I know you got a hard out today. This is the fastest 90 or so minutes in all of media.
97.
We tried real hard to keep it to that 90, but Blake, to be fair, you added about 5 minutes on that last story, so we could have.
I did. All right.
Tell everybody where to find you, sir.
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter, and then my website, The Next Level News, that'll contain the archive of all of these shows. So
wonderful. Yes. All right. Well, thank you for a fantastic program, sir. We appreciate you and all of the viewers today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. You guys are awesome. Yeah. More next week, probably. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you, everybody.
All right. There he goes, everybody. Follow Blake Walley in all the places. Also, the New American Media is in all the places. So here's where you find us. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. Raise your hand. All the people in the comment thread, are you following us on Twitter? Just say yes on Twitter or no on Twitter in the comments thread. At American_media_. What about yes or no on YouTube? YouTube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Yes or no, YouTube. Are you following us on YouTube? Are you following the New American Media on Rumble? I believe it's rumble.com/thenewamericanmedia. What about Spotify? Spotify, we're as the Agree to Disagree Show. That's what we do here. Yes or no on Spotify. Are you in our podcast? Yes or no? What about Truth Social? The New American Media. I think we only have one follower on Truth Social. We don't use it much, but look, it's another place where we can connect the next time that certain channels and outlets go down. So it's important to follow us. How about on Truth Social? Yes or no on Truth Social? Instagram, we're still there, The New American Media. We can post, but we can't share stories. I don't know what their deal is. And then Facebook, the TNAMs, TNAM for the New American Media, TNAM apostrophe S, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. It's a private group on Facebook. Search it. And I think it's in parentheses. So if you type it exactly, you might be able to contact us. Kenneth says no and yes. I don't know what he's saying no and yes to. So he's following us somewhere, but not the other place. So thank you for some of that. And yeah, just follow us and follow Blake and follow all the cool people, all the cool kids that are trying to meet with you each day and discuss what's going on in this crazy world of ours. So I'm going to sign out from Earth and the New American Media. Everybody here, we appreciate you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.